I was dating this girl, and she really wanted me to try to grow out a beard. This was before beards were super mainstream. I didn't want to do it for two reasons. Number one, I don't have really good beard genetics. This is as good as it gets. You know what I'm saying? I'm never going to be Rick Ross. I made peace with that. It is what it is. But number two, I genuinely felt like I looked better with a more clean aesthetic, right? Like I would probably define my style as like smart casual, clean cut. One of the best compliments I ever got from a woman, she said, "You look like your bathroom clean." And that always stuck out to me. So my preference is more clean cut, more dapper, the whole nine. But, this particular woman really wanted me to go with a more scruffy look. And I never really understood it. I would have conversations with women about it, and, one common theme is that they didn't like a man to look too manicured. You hear women often say, I don't want him to look like he spends more time in the mirror than me. I don't want him to look gay, all that kind of stuff. This new looks maxing wave that we're seeing on social media, there's been this term come up called sexual dimorphism. Basically, to explain sexual dimorphism, it's we prefer as men faces that look as feminine as possible and aesthetics overall that look as feminine as possible, and women prefer aesthetics overall that look as masculine as possible in general. Now, some of that is starting to change because now women are starting to prefer a more effeminate aesthetic on men. That's why you see people like Timothée Chalamet is now the heartthrob of the decade. But, typically women like raised brow ridges, which is a more masculine feature. Sharp jawlines, more masculine feature. Muscles, broad shoulders, all that stuff, more masculine features. And men are dimorphic in that sense because we like stuff that are on the complete opposite side of the spectrum. And again, it's not across the board, but it's for the most part. Because you also observe, even in the modeling world, a lot of the model faces, especially high fashion, they have more masculine facial features, sharp jawlines, more chiseled facial features, etc. But again, even as I say that, take it with a grain of salt because the target demographic for those industries is also women. So maybe women also prefer sexually dimorphic women. It really got me thinking, and I realized that, the truth is what men find attractive in men isn't necessarily what women find attractive in men. And similarly, what women find attractive in women typically isn't what men find attractive in women.
Do you think men prefer a natural body or a BBL?
BBL.
BBL.
BBL. BBL. BBL. BBL.
BBL.
BBL.
BBL.
BBL. BBL.
Do you prefer natural bodies or BBL bodies?
Natural.
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 There's a dude a man might see and he must get hoes. And you realize he doesn't, or you learn that he doesn't. We talk about things like the butterfly eyelashes that women love. Women love it on women. Men either don't care or they hate it. I'm on the side of hate it, but
this shit looks ridiculous. No man has ever said, yo, you know what would make her look hotter? Pterodactyl wings on the face, nigga. What the is this? These shits look like BBLs for your face. Listen, to my beautiful black queens, I like I did in the post, I love y'all. All I'm saying is you don't need this. Why do you do this? You're beautiful as you are. Be natural. Let your soul glow.
It really got me thinking about the differences between the male gaze and the female gaze, not just phenotypically, but also from a character and disposition standpoint. The things that we think women like in men, women sometimes don't like. The things women think men like in women, we sometimes don't like. And I think it's complex for women more so than men because at least on the male side, you could be like, so-and-so Fred, he has no hoes. And you can use his ability to attract and sleep with women as the barometer for if he is successful attracting women. On the female side, it's a bit more difficult because she may still, or she will still attract men with those butterfly eyelashes. So she'll never actually think that men dislike it because she's still able to get in proximity to men, and sometimes men of caliber, because again, men are sexually less selective than women are. Right? Men are more so commitment selective, whereas women are sexually selective, and I think the consequences of both those sides are the reason why. Then I was having a conversation with a female friend of mine, and I don't even remember what led to the conversation, but we were talking about the movie They Cloned Tyrone. By the way, if you've never seen that movie, 10 out of 10, 5 out of 5. Fantastic movie. The concept, the execution, the cast, the storyline, the plot, everything was fantastic. And she told me about this interview of John Boyega, the actor who plays Tyrone, and then his doppelganger, which when you watch the movie, you'll understand why, sitting side by side having a conversation. And she told me that for whatever reason, she found Tyrone attractive right here. But she didn't find John Boyega that attractive. This is the same person. And you know, we've seen like those fake viral memes where it's like a girl will comment a picture of what's that UFC fighter's name with the glasses? I can't remember his name, but the latest one I saw, a girl commented a picture of Shawn Michaels, the WWE wrestler from back in the day. And she was like, why can't I find a man like this? And then literally Shawn Michaels, and you know, you might hear this from OGs, but like it's less about the aesthetic, and especially with this emphasis on looks maxing, and it's more about the story of you. One of the best pieces of advice that I heard was women don't necessarily remember what you do, but they remember how you make them feel. And even going back to this Tyrone versus John Boyega image, the only difference is, as a character, Tyrone appears more layered than John Boyega, right? He's scruffier, he's rougher around the edges. I also believe when women say tall, dark, and handsome, I don't think they're always talking about like literally dark. I think sometimes they're talking about like proverbially dark, like mysterious, enigmatic, all those other things that I think we then condense or oversimplify into dark. But yeah, so that really got me thinking, like, how can she see an image of two versions of the same guy, and the one who is worse looking from a male perspective is the one she finds more attractive? Another conversation I had, I think two different women at this point, and I think I was talking about how, you know, as the guys, we get older, our hairlines recede, and you know, I'm kind of getting insecure about mine receding, and both of them said something along the lines of, you know, we actually don't like hairlines that are too crispy, overly manicured, overly sharp. And it really threw me for a loop, because, you know, as a man, especially as a black man, that has been your mission since you started getting haircuts, is to get the most sharpest, most symmetrical, most crispiest lineup that you can get. But according to these conversations, it seems to be the case that our lineups are akin to some aspect of what women do to pamper themselves for us that we don't really care about. Something that they notice subconsciously, right? Like if a woman has eyeshadow or something, it might make her look better, right? But it's not necessarily a make or break the way that we think it is, or the way that if we saw it in another dude, we think it would be, right? And that goes back to the male gaze and the female gaze. Hey, if you've made it all the way to the end, please click that like and subscribe button. Also share this with somebody that you think would gain value from it. Click the thumbnail at the top if you want the full video. Click the thumbnail at the bottom if you want a video that's closely related to this. Again, like, share, subscribe. Appreciate you guys for watching. Check out some more of our content, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.